The people of Finland are the poorest people of the Western world. I made my last video about that, but how is that possible? Well, in this video I'm going to tell you, and this might be a good video to watch in the sense that you don't do the same mistake with the same mentality. Alright, so the Finnish people are the poorest in the West, but how is that possible since Finland has a fairly an advanced economy per capita and Finland has a high cost of labor? Well, first of all, that high cost of labor goes everywhere else but the laborer. And of course there are historical reasons, like after the Second World War, all the Nordic countries were pretty much intact. Well, Finland was the only Nordic country that didn't receive Marshall aid from the United States because of the Soviet Union, and even Sweden, who didn't find a day, instead they made good money selling guns and gears to both the Nazis and the Soviet Union. Even they received Marshall aid. But I don't think that's it. And what I believe is this. You see, the way Finnish society is, even today, if the parents of a family or the head of household would act the same way as the society of Finland acts, well then, that head of household would intentionally discourage its members, its children, from building personal wealth, and what they should do instead is go to work, make money, and bring that money to the head of household in order to use that money for the expenses of the entire family. So instead of taking care of your own personal finances, you should be more concerned about the welfare of the family and bring the money to the head of the household. This is how the Nordic welfare state of Finland operates. And in return, of course, if something bad happens to you, then you will be taken care by the family, by the state. And what that household would also do is create an environment where building personal wealth is considered to be something that is selfish, that you shouldn't take care of your own finances, but instead take care of the family, that building wealth is also selfish. That is how the Finnish society is even today. But that wasn't always the case in Finland. You see, before, when Finland was an agricultural country, when people lived in farms, then people would actually labor for their own wealth because they labored for the farm, and that farm became personal wealth. But when the people of Finland started moving from farms to factories and became income earners, well, that mentality of building wealth, it was either forgotten or ignored. It did not transfer to the income earners. And the way Finnish society became was that society didn't even want to give the idea that an ordinary income earner could be building personal wealth. And what they led the people to believe that the only way to build wealth is to work and pay taxes to the state, and they called that wealth building. But it's not wealth building, it's not building personal wealth when you pay taxes. Building personal wealth is. But that was forgotten in Finland. Or it was either forgotten, and it's a good question, was it intentional that the ordinary income earners stopped building wealth? Well, that's a good question. And even today in Finland, it is socially acceptable to be completely poor, completely helpless, completely irresponsible. But should somebody openly say that they are building personal wealth by investing, well, that becomes an issue. And I know this from my personal experience. So what does that tell us about this current Finnish society? And that's it. That is why the people of Finland are the poorest people in the Western world. You see, in modern times as income earners, this wealth building, it is simply not a part of core Finnish society, even today. It simply isn't. Even it was either left out intentionally or maybe it was unintentional. That people simply never learned how ordinary wealth is built. And that's it. But luckily for today, we have all these kinds of YouTube channels that are making building wealth a cultural norm. Is that the correct thing to say? And I do believe that in the future, also in Finland, ordinary wealth building will be part of the Finnish culture. But for now, at least in Finland, this building wealth is treated as some kind of a hobby, that's something that you may choose if you want to. And that's a good thing that channels like these and all the other personal finance channels exist. So that one day, building wealth, and not just in Finland, but in all of Europe, building personal wealth would become a cultural norm, if that is correctly said. Alright, that's it. That is simply why the people of Finland are the poorest in the West. This is Radio Heikkala. Thank you for watching.